when 65-year-old James, a gentle and calm black man, went for his morning walk. He never expected to face three teens looking for trouble. But when they targeted him, they underestimated his quiet strength. A video of his powerful, silent self-defense went viral, sparking admiration and teaching the teens a hard lesson about respect. The sun rose higher, casting a warm glow over the park, dappling the path with patches of light and shadow. James, who walked the familiar trail every morning, took in the subtle beauty surrounding him. The fresh scent of pine, the damp earth underfoot, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze were part of his daily ritual, a moment he reserved to ground himself and find tranquility in a world that often felt too chaotic. He noticed the teens long before they noticed him. At first, they were just another group of kids, joking around and pushing each other playfully. But as he moved along the path, their voices grew louder, and their carefree laughter took on a sharp edge. They drifted closer, seemingly unbothered by the other park-goers, casting disapproving glances in their direction. James maintained his steady pace, his breathing even, his gaze forward. He'd learned over the years that calm was the strongest armor against provocation. It wasn't that he ignored trouble, it was that he understood it, anticipated it, and diffused it with the quiet strength of someone who knew his own power. As the blonde teen made his approach, James felt the shift in the boy's body language, the slight straightening of his shoulders, the narrowing of his eyes. It was a posture James recognized instantly, a display meant to assert dominance, to provoke a reaction. When the teen finally reached him, he made sure his shoulder collided with James's, a slight but deliberate shove. James paused, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. He could feel the eyes of the other park-goers on him, waiting to see how he would respond. But he simply looked at the boy, a calm and unyielding gaze that seemed to pierce right through him. The boy laughed, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his expression, as if he hadn't anticipated James's lack of reaction. "Come on, old man, you've got something to say?" the boy taunted, emboldened by his friend's laughter. James didn't respond right away. He'd been in situations far more intense than this, and he wasn't about to let three teenagers disrupt his peace. But as he glanced at each one, he could sense their intentions weren't friendly. The red-haired teen, his face flushed and eyes bright with excitement, whispered something to his friends, who snickered in response. They thought he was an easy target, an old man who wouldn't fight back. But James was anything but defenseless. Years of martial arts training had taught him patience, resilience, and the power of controlled strength. He didn't need to raise a fist to command respect. His very presence spoke volumes, though these teens were too young and brash to recognize it. The group continued to mock him, their voices echoing through the quiet park. With each taunt, they moved closer, their body language growing bolder, more confrontational. James took a deep breath, grounding himself, feeling the rhythm of his heartbeat, the steady strength he carried within. He had no desire for conflict, but if it came to it, he would show them that respect wasn't something to be taken lightly. "Gentlemen," he said finally, his voice calm yet firm, "there's no need for this." The blonde sneered, taking a step forward. "What's the matter? Can't handle a little fun?" James's calm expression didn't falter. He met the blonde's gaze, holding it just long enough for a hint of doubt to creep into the boy's eyes. There was something about James's presence, a quiet authority that defied his age. As they circled him, mocking and laughing, he remained still, as immovable as a rock in a stream. The tension in the air grew thick, each moment stretching out as the teens circled him, their mocking voices mixing with the distant chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves. They were brazen, feeding off each other's energy, their laughs echoing in the park. The tallest one, emboldened by his friends, sneered, stepping even closer to James, hurling words meant to degrade and humiliate. His stance was wide, shoulders squared, as if showing off his dominance. James, standing calm and upright, let the words wash over him, each insult met with quiet resilience. He'd faced disrespect before, in many forms, and his years had taught him that silence could be more powerful than words. His expression remained composed, a subtle display of strength that didn't go unnoticed. But instead of backing off, the teens mistook his restraint for weakness. The onlookers watched, clearly troubled by what they were witnessing. The woman's brow furrowed, her hand instinctively resting on her chest, as if preparing for the worst, while the man beside her glanced around, perhaps hoping someone else might step in. Yet they stayed rooted in place, unwilling to intervene, leaving James alone to face the advancing group. One of the teens, a wiry boy with an eager, almost frenzied expression, stepped in beside the leader, his laughter harsh. He gave James a deliberate shove, his hand lingering just a second too long on James's shoulder, as if savoring the moment. It wasn't a strong push, but it was enough to break the invisible barrier of respect that had, until now, kept them at a distance. James felt a flicker of anger deep within him, a surge of instinct to push back, to show them who they were dealing with. But he knew better. Instead, he took a slow breath, letting the air fill his lungs, steadying his pulse. His gaze flicked from one teen to another, assessing their movements, their body language. Each small gesture revealed their overconfidence, their assumption that they were in control. The tallest boy gave another push, his laughter growing louder as he moved closer, nearly pressing James back against the bench. It was clear now that they wanted a reaction, to turn him into the morning's entertainment. But James had no intention of being their amusement. Slowly, with measured purpose, he shifted his stance, grounding himself firmly. His years of training had taught him how to stand his ground without a single show of aggression. One of the teens, emboldened by the others, reaches out to grab James's shoulder, trying to humiliate him once and for all. But James, who has kept his composure to the last moment, reacts instantly. His arm rises with precision and strength, blocking the teen's move so swiftly that the boy stumbles back in surprise. Before the teens can grasp what's happening, James silently and deftly performs a series of moves, neutralizing their threats. He deflects their strikes, sidesteps with unexpected speed, and positions them disadvantageously, all with the grace and confidence of a martial arts master. Moments ago, these teens had laughed, certain of their power. Now they stare at James in shock and fear. They're stunned by how effortlessly he handled their aggression without causing serious harm. Their confident smiles vanish, replaced by bewilderment and fear. Each one feels a growing sense of regret, realizing they seriously misjudged the man before them. Maintaining control and avoiding a hostile tone, James looks each teen in the eye and calmly says, "You're on the wrong path, guys. Violence and degrading others don't lead anywhere good. Actions like these only hurt you, isolate you from others, and cost you respect. Life may be harsh, but that's no reason to act with cruelty." His words, spoken quietly but penetratingly, seem to reach the teens, as though James can see right through them. He speaks with firmness, yet a trace of compassion, as if hoping to warn them against choices they'll regret. One of the boys, looking down in shame, appears to grasp that their behavior could have serious consequences. James releases them with the same calmness with which he entered the situation. Turning, he resumes his usual path, leaving the teens to their thoughts. The witnesses who saw the incident unfold were stunned by how James, outwardly calm and reserved, revealed his skills and incredible self-control at a critical moment. They began to understand the deep inner conflict James must have felt, which he tried to avoid escalating until it was absolutely necessary. One witness, without thinking, had started recording the moment James swiftly and skillfully subdued the teens. The video, capturing an elderly man confronting 3 aggressive teens with dignity and poise, quickly went viral. Social media users across the city and beyond began discussing the importance of respect and overcoming prejudice. This video, filled with justice and inner strength, struck a chord with many, sparking a wave of support and admiration. The teens' parents, upon learning of the incident, were deeply disappointed in their children's behavior. They had serious conversations with them, stressing that such actions are unacceptable and could have serious consequences for others and for themselves. Seeing the video and hearing their parents' disapproval, the teens began to feel ashamed and acknowledged their mistake. They each realized that this act affected not only their reputation, but also made them reflect on their attitudes toward others. For his community, James became a symbol of resilience and dignity. His determined yet measured response to aggression spread quickly, and people began to admire his courage and strength of character. He showed that even the most gentle person can stand up against injustice when truly needed. James's community saw him not only as a kind, calm man, but as a figure of strength and principle, standing firm in his values and beliefs.